Hello and welcome to the 106th of a second photography podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking about repairs and breakages. So I want to start by just telling you something about when I fixed my own phone. In fact, when I've had my phone fixed. Now, I talk about this because I'm actually developing this idea with other channels and other things I do, not specifically this podcast, nothing to do with photography, but I am going to be doing sort of an episodic thing on fixing things yourself. So much tech today and so little of it is fixable yourself. And I fixed my own phone. So I was immediately thinking about that and thinking about, well, what's the best way, and things like that. Do you get a pro to do it? Do you get your friend to do it? Do you fix it yourself? And how this applies to cameras and photography. Well, it might be a long episode, so bear with me. So I dropped my iPhone and the screen broke and it wasn't really usable. So I had a premium iPhone at the time. This was iPhone 4S. So at the time, not everyone had an iPhone. It was quite a premium thing. And I dropped my iPhone and the screen cracked. So I looked at getting it repaired and a few people did it. I'd actually bought it secondhand, so I couldn't send it off to Apple. There wasn't an Apple shop local to me at the time. So I found someone who was local to me and they had a business and it was fixing phones and they came with quite good sort of reputation. So they sort of promised, I'll come to you, I collect your phone, I fix it, I bring it back to you. I need it fixed quite fast, so I agreed with them, you know what, I'm out near you, I'm out for the day near you, I'll drop it off to you, you fix it, you get it back to me. So I dropped it off, bit of a hassle, waited, nothing, chased it up. Then their mum came over and gave me the phone back and said, we can't fix it. And I sort of said, I'm not paying for this. And it was all the screen was half hanging out, and actually it had been fixed. I think the screen had been replaced, but it was like the screen had been replaced, but it was such a sloppy job. It hadn't been put back together properly. So and things weren't in, and there were gaps where dust could get in and stuff. So not really the iPhone experience, in fact, not any phone experience. It was just badly done. So I said, I'm not paying for it, but thanks for having my phone back. Thanks for getting my phone back. And the mum sort of tried to defend her son. I thought, no, he said he could fix it. He's taken ages with it. It isn't done. I'm not paying. And that was the end of it. And I was never chased for payment because it wasn't fixed properly, So that was that. So the next time it broke, and it did break again, because again, 2 weeks later, I dropped it again. I thought, I'm not going through that again. So I'll look on Amazon, I'll get the part myself, and I'll watch a few YouTube videos, and I'll work out how to fix it myself. Now, unbeknown to me, the iPhone 4S, I think, is probably the most difficult iPhone to do a screen replacement on. So one Sunday when my parts arrived, I think my family were away, I had the whole day to myself. I started about 11 o'clock trying to fix my iPhone, and I think by about 6 o'clock I'd fixed it. So I'd replaced the screen, but it took like most of the day. I think it took 7 hours to do. It was a ridiculous amount of time spent fixing this iPhone, taking out all the little screws, getting it unhinged, taking bits out. So to get to the screen, you had to disassemble the whole phone. Then you swap the screen out. Then you had to reassemble the phone. And of course, when I reassembled the phone, it didn't work, so I had to do it again. And I got it to work, but then I'm thinking, okay, it might cost me £40 to have this done. And I paid £10 for the part. Was I better off just paying £40? So guess what? My battery needed replacing. I needed another job later on that phone. So, it wasn't like 2 weeks' time. It was some other time. And I thought, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going with some newbie. I'm not going and doing it myself. So I sent it off to this company and it was back within like a couple of days and it was fantastic. There was something called something like iPhone Doctor. They were amazing. Thoroughly recommend them if they still exist. I don't know. This was a long time ago. We're talking iPhone 4S. So that was that, and I was quite happy. And then this iPhone was very unlucky. It needed something else done on it. So I had a look, and there was some chap who was sort of offering fixing services from, fixing services were local to me. Again, he would come to the door, pick it up, bring it back, and he worked in a phone shop, so I was fairly happy with him. And he took it away, and he brought it back and said, I can't fix it, and it's been done terribly, and it's all a mess in there. Here you go. And he didn't charge me. And he said, oh, it's a mess, and I've never seen anything like it. Well, it had been fixed by me, fixed by the cowboy, fixed by another company. So, yeah, probably parts were missing or something. Whose fault it was, I don't know. We'll never know, will we? But yeah, so there was that. So I didn't ever need any more fixes on that phone. But I bought an iPad mini, and I bought it with a damaged screen. And I went to someone else who, again, had started up. They worked out of their own house. You brought it to them, and they did a phenomenal job. A fantastic job. But, it cost me £80. I think as well, I went to a local phone shop. You get those mobile phone shops. They sell cases and battery chargers and everything else. And they did a good job and stuff. And then I upgraded to the iPhone 6S again. I bought it secondhand. I upgraded to the iPhone 6S, and I was always charging my battery. So the battery needed replacing, and I thought, forget it. So I'm not doing it myself. I've gone through this so many times. I know what's what. And I went back to the guy who did my iPad mini, and he changed it in 5 minutes. And he just, he took the battery off. I don't have to worry about disposing of the battery. He changed it in 5 minutes. I watched him do it there and then, pre-COVID times, of course. I was satisfied he'd done a good job. He was a nice bloke. By this time, he had rented an office in an office complex. He was that busy fixing phones and tablets that he had his own sort of office that you could go to. So I was at work. I took my lunch and I drove to this office, found it, went upstairs, gave him the phone. He fixed it. It's like 20 quid. Fantastic value for money. It was all done. I wasn't spending ages doing it. Now, of course, the battery is different to the screen and stuff, but still, I didn't want to mess around with it. So that was that. And I'm sort of thinking about this from the point of view of other things, not photography related. But to me, you can do these things yourself when there's enough availability of spare parts, when it's not too difficult, and when you can get a guide online like I did. But you might do it wrong, it might not work, and it might take you forever. It really depends on what you're replacing and what the model is. And of course, with things like phones, they're glued in, and things aren't really designed to be replaced. They're designed to be small and sleek. Not to mention, some are now waterproof. I don't know how battery replacements work when they're waterproof, but anyway, I divulge. Now, I've had 2 cameras damaged, broken, not working. So let's talk about those. So I have a 5D Classic, which I'm not using much at the moment because it doesn't do video. I'm not going out doing shoots. It's a tank of a camera. It's a great camera. And I had it on a black rapid strap, but I hadn't screwed it in properly. So it was slung around my waist. It had spun around a few times, and the tripod socket had come out and it fell on the floor. Oh no. There was no damage to my lens because the camera took the brunt of the damage. So the actual casing broke. It snapped. And I was, oh no, that's broken. I'm really unhappy with that. Oh no, what do I do? It's still usable, the camera worked, so I basically super glued it. I think later, when I was storing that camera, I stored it against like some silica. Some silica, those little silica packets got into it, and sort of some slimy silica solution ended up going down it, and I managed to wipe that off. So that's a tank of a camera. It still works, and I could just super glue it. Now, of course, I can't replace it because it doesn't exist anymore. No one makes it. I suppose I could send it off, but you find with old cameras that you can't send them off because they're not supported. So I had a Leica that I bought. It was like the one that Panasonic also do, and I bought it off eBay. And the idiot, this guy was such an idiot. He sent it to me in like just a cardboard box with no packaging, and it was, if you get the basic thing off Amazon, the basic packaging box, which is like an envelope, and you pull it down the back and it's perforated and it sort of folds out. He sent it to me, and that was sellotape. So of course by the time it got to me, it's broken and it didn't work. So in the end, we sort of negotiated on the price, and I thought I'll get it fixed, but Leica didn't make the current chipset for it, so actually I couldn't get it replaced. So it came down to me sort of talking to a Leica repairer, and they said, well, we might be able to take it apart. It might just be a connection. You don't know. We could put that back together, but in terms of parts, we can't get them anymore. This camera isn't supported. And I sort of put it on the shelf, and I thought about it, and I never did anything with it, and I sold it. And I sold it for about as much as I paid for it, so I didn't lose anything. It's a lovely camera. It had a really nice lens. I think it was 6 megapixels. I was so gutted that the moron I bought it off didn't bother packaging it properly. And in some regards, maybe I should have sent it back to him and got a full refund, and that would have taught him for being such an idiot and not packaging stuff properly. So anyway, the 5D, what I'm getting at is I couldn't necessarily send it off. Maybe I could, but it might not be supported. Had a Micro Four Thirds camera, an Olympus EM10, and used to take that out on all the day trips with the family because I had a 12-40 lens with it. So I got, it was a good lens, tough pro lens on that, and it just went everywhere with us, always snapping family photos. Micro Four Thirds are good for family stuff. They're small, they're light, and the lenses are light as well. So you can take the equivalent of a 24-70 with you, and it weighs next to nothing. So the 12-40 was a 24-80 in Micro Four Thirds terms. So that's your sort of workhorse lens. But one day I picked it up and the shutter wouldn't fire. Not the shutter, the blades that do that cover the sensor and the mechanical shutter just wouldn't work. So I was a bit perplexed by this. I don't know what had happened to it, but there's no way I could fix it. That was really, really complicated. There's no way I can fix it. So I checked when I bought it, and lo and behold, I'm within the guarantee period. Fantastic. So I sent it off to Olympus, and a couple of weeks later it came back well packaged. Note to eBay man. Well, superbly packaged, and it worked. Fantastic. So that was working. I've subsequently sold the camera because I found I wasn't using that particular camera very much. So I sold it, and that's that. So it was fixed, and it was fixed under warranty. So we've got two examples here, and it goes back to the phone. If it's too complicated, I wouldn't even attempt to try it. There's no way I could have fixed that EM10. I didn't know what was wrong with it. I didn't know how to fix it. I could have looked online, but I was in warranty, so I might as well use the warranty. So what should you do if you drop your camera? You go out and you buy a nice Canon EOS R5, RP, you get a new nice shiny camera and you drop it. Well, or it just stops working because it might not be your fault. You might have a faulty one. And you might have the same with lenses, thinking about it. Your lens might be slightly off. Well, and it might be slightly off in terms of focusing, or not every lens is the same, you see. So you might find that your lens has an imperfection. Send it back is what I would suggest. Anyway, so what do you do if your photography equipment is damaged? Well, if you spent a lot of money on it, you clearly want that rectified. If you spent 40 quid on it, that's more the sort of time you should be seeing, can you fix it yourself, or will super glue fix it like I did, it's very likely that you can probably claim on your home insurance. So it would be a one-off claim. And again, I'm not saying every policy will do this. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but you should probably, if you've dropped your brand new Canon R5 mirrorless camera and it costs £1,000 and then you pick it up and it's not working, then you should probably see what you can get from your current home insurance policy. Might be it's not worth doing because the excess you would end up paying and the subsequent increases in your insurance the years after might not make it worth it. But you might have something in your insurance policy where you picked accidental damage, or you've got one-off items listed. So it might already be on your home insurance, and your home insurance might be able to cover it. I'm not saying they will. You can take out photography insurance and you can insure specific bits of gear. I don't know whether that's worth it. I don't know whether photography insurance is worth it. I've had it, nothing broke, I didn't get it again, and that was that. So there is that as well. But there is also the warranty. If it's not working and it's within warranty and it's new, then you can send it back and get it fixed, hopefully, or get something done. If you're buying used, you have a bit of a problem. And I have found when buying used stuff, and I do buy used stuff, that I tend to gravitate towards shops rather than stuff on eBay. eBay, as we've heard before, can have cowboys. It can have some amazing sellers, some very good sellers, and there's some really good camera sellers there on eBay. And there are some cowboys and there are some idiots, and I've dealt with both. So recently when I bought used gear, I bought it from Wex Photo Video, and they've got a 12-month guarantee on used stuff. Any camera and any lens can have an issue. You don't know until you use it. It's got to go through the delivery process. But if I buy from Wex, I know that if there is a problem, or it's broken, or it arrives broken, I've got a 12-month guarantee. And it might not, and it might be you can't pick up the issue straight away. It might be a scratch on your lens that you only notice when you go out to do landscape photography and you shoot at a very high aperture or a very narrow aperture. So if you're buying used gear, I'd recommend you buy from a specific used trader who promises a guarantee. Now, I've never had to send anything back to Wex. It's all been fine, but I've got that peace of mind. So if I dropped my phone, would I fix it myself? The jury's out on that. I don't know. Would I replace my own battery? Maybe. I've started sort of trying to prolong my batteries by, if it's a phone or if it's something that doesn't have a battery that comes out, I use the lowest watt charger I can. So if it's a phone, I charge at 1 amp, which is 5 watts, rather than a quicker charger, because I know it will damage the battery more over time. But if I'm charging a camera via USB, I'll charge at a higher wattage and a higher amperage, because I can always change the battery. So I don't think it matters. But I'm being a little bit more careful about battery life and things like that. So would I fix things? It depends how complex it is. It depends how easy it is to fix. It depends what the cost saving is. But I will say things are not easy to fix anymore. And I think things should be designed to be more fixable, either by someone in a shop or by yourself at home. And Apple are the worst at this, gluing things. So once you open it, it doesn't work. I did fix my Chromebook. I love my Chromebook. I use it all the time. It was a premium Chromebook, but the screen wouldn't work, and it's basically to do with the cabling. The cabling's worn out, but I managed to get it better and I managed to get it usable. Still have the problem, but it meant I didn't have to throw it away, because you're not going to replace your screen on a Chromebook. It's not really worth it, but I managed to prolong using that. I hate the idea of throwing away something that's perfectly good, but also I'm not going to spend, like most people, I'm not going to spend more money fixing it than it takes to buy a new one. It's like when you replace your electric razor blade. It's really not much more money to buy a new electric razor, sadly. And that's ludicrous, but that's the world we live in, where due to the scale of production and the scale of the economics, more people are buying new razors, so they're cheaper in comparison to the replacement parts. But there we go. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Listen to my experiences about fixing things, and no doubt you'll drop your phone. Everyone does. And yeah, it's really up to you how you fix it, and best of luck if you choose to fix it yourself. And if you do find a good fixer of phones and tablets, they're worth their weight in gold, trust me. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.